11 Black celebrities who faced tragic consequences. After cosmetic surgery, beauty can become a trap when the world keeps whispering that your natural face is not enough. One injection, one cut, one procedure sold as confidence. For some stars, that choice opened the door to pain, regret, medical danger, and public humiliation. In public, they had fame, cameras, red carpets, money, and millions watching every smile. But behind the glamour, some were hiding infections, scars, insecurity, health scares, and secrets too painful to explain. The spotlight praised perfection, then punished them when perfection turned cruel. Today on Black Hollywood Uncut, we're pulling back the curtain on 11 Black celebrities whose cosmetic surgery stories became warnings. Stay until the very last second, subscribe, and hit the notification bell, because the final cases reveal consequences far darker than vanity. Michael Jackson died, age 50 in 2009. Michael Jackson was not just a celebrity. He was the king of pop, a child star who grew into one of the most influential entertainers in history. From the Jackson 5 to Thriller, Billie Jean, Beat It, and Smooth Criminal, he changed music, dance, fashion, video, and global pop culture forever. But behind the moonwalk, the glove, and the stadium screams was a man trapped under a level of scrutiny almost no human being could survive. From a young age, Michael's appearance was discussed as if it belonged to the public. His face, his skin, his hair, his body, and even his health became permanent headlines. He publicly acknowledged having some cosmetic procedures, including work on his nose, while also explaining that his changing skin tone was connected to vitiligo, a condition supported by later medical findings. Still, the world kept staring, guessing, mocking, and turning his body into entertainment. The transcript presents Michael as a warning about cosmetic surgery, pain medication, and the dangerous pursuit of perfection. That angle should be handled carefully. It is fair to say that Michael lived under crushing beauty pressure and intense public judgment. It is also fair to say that medical treatment, insomnia, and prescription drugs became part of the darker final chapter of his life. But it would not be accurate or responsible to claim that cosmetic surgery alone caused his death. Public records show that Michael Jackson died on June 25, 2009, at age 50, from acute propofol intoxication, with other sedatives involved. His death was ruled a homicide, and his personal physician, Dr. Conrad Murray, was later convicted of involuntary manslaughter. That ending shocked the world, because it felt like the final collapse of a life spent trying to perform through pain. Michael's tragedy was not only medical, it was emotional. A boy raised in fame became a man who could never fully escape the mirror the world kept holding up to him. Yet his legacy is still untouchable. No rumor, no surgery debate, no courtroom headline can erase what he gave to music. Michael Jackson remains the artist who made the impossible look effortless, and made the world dance while quietly carrying wounds it never truly understood. K. Michelle, 44 age, now. K. Michelle built her name on a voice that could bleed and still keep singing. She came into R&B with raw emotion, sharp honesty, and the kind of pain listeners could feel before she even finished the first verse. On reality television, she was outspoken, dramatic, funny, and wounded all at once. But behind the big personality was a woman fighting a private battle with body image, beauty pressure, and the dangerous belief that changing her shape could finally make her feel complete. Her story fits this topic because K. Michelle has spoken publicly about one of the most painful cosmetic decisions of her life: illegal silicone injections. At the time, she wanted the extreme curves that had become celebrated in music, television, and social media. The industry was shifting. Bigger bodies were being praised, but only in very specific ways. For many women, especially Black women in entertainment, the message was cruel and confusing. Be natural, but perfect. Be curvy, but controlled. Be sexy, but never flawed. What began as a shortcut became a nightmare. K. Michelle later revealed that the silicone injections caused serious health complications and forced her into multiple corrective surgeries. The transcript presents her experience in a very graphic way, but a safer version should focus on the emotional and physical reality she herself has discussed. Pain, fear, medical complications, body distortion, and the long process of trying to remove what should never have been placed inside her body. That is what makes her story more than celebrity gossip. K. Michelle became a warning in real time. She did not hide behind perfection. She showed the aftermath. She spoke about regret, survival, and the pressure that pushed her toward a dangerous choice. In a culture that often rewards impossible bodies, her honesty exposed the cost behind the fantasy. But K. Michelle's legacy is not just the surgery. It is the survival after it. She kept singing. She kept speaking. She turned pain into testimony. Her story belongs in this countdown because it shows how beauty pressure can nearly destroy a body. But truth can still give a woman her power back. Donda West died age 58 in 2007. Donda West was never just Kanye West's mother. She was a scholar, a professor, an author, and one of the most important emotional forces behind one of hip-hop's most complicated superstars. Before the fame, before the stadiums, before the world knew Kanye's name, Donda was the woman who believed in him with a kind of devotion that shaped his confidence, his ambition, and his art. She represented intellect, sacrifice, motherhood, and the quiet strength behind a loud public dream. But in 2007, her story became one of the most heartbreaking warnings in modern celebrity culture. At 58, Donda underwent multiple cosmetic procedures, including breast reduction, tummy tuck, and liposuction. What began as a personal decision about appearance and confidence turned into a national conversation about risk, medical screening, and how easily beauty culture can turn dangerous when surgery is treated like a simple makeover instead of a serious medical event. Public reports stated that Donda West died on November 10, 2007, one day after surgery. The Los Angeles County coroner later pointed to coronary artery disease and multiple post-operative factors connected to the procedure, while also noting that the exact cause could not be determined with absolute certainty. Her death led to public scrutiny of cosmetic surgery practices, patient clearance, and post-operative care. In California, the tragedy helped inspire the Donda West law, which required patients to receive a physical examination and medical clearance before elective cosmetic surgery. That is why Donda's story still feels so heavy. She was not chasing fame in the way celebrities often do. She was a mother, a professional, and a woman living under the reflection of her son's spotlight. Her death showed that cosmetic surgery is never just about vanity. It can involve health history, hidden risks, medical judgment, aftercare, and decisions that families may spend years trying to understand. Donda West's legacy should not be reduced to the operating room, where everything changed. Her name lives in Kanye's music, in the law that followed, and in the warning her story left behind. Beauty should never cost a life. Wendy Williams, 61 age. Now Wendy Williams built a career by saying what other people were afraid to say. Her voice was sharp, funny, messy, fearless, and unforgettable. Long before daytime television made her a household name, Wendy dominated radio with a style that turned celebrity gossip into theater. Then came The Wendy Williams Show. The purple chair, the hot topics, the wigs, the catchphrases, and that unmistakable question, "How you doin'?" She became one of the most recognizable black women in entertainment. But behind the boldness was a much more vulnerable story. Wendy spent decades in an industry that judges women harshly, especially women who age in public. Her body, her face, her weight, her wigs, her marriage, her health, and her behavior were constantly discussed. She was both the commentator and the subject, the woman who exposed celebrity secrets, while slowly becoming trapped inside her own public unraveling. The transcript presents Wendy's cosmetic history as a direct cause of memory loss, neurological damage, and decline. That claim should be handled very carefully. Wendy has spoken publicly in the past about body image and cosmetic procedures, but it would not be accurate or responsible to say that cosmetic surgery caused her dementia. Publicly reported information states that she was diagnosed with frontotemporal dementia and primary progressive aphasia, serious neurodegenerative conditions affecting language, behavior, and cognition. Later reports also said her guardianship remained in place after medical evaluations. That makes Wendy's story tragic in a different way. It is not simply a warning about surgery. It is a warning about what happens when a woman's entire identity becomes public property. For years, Wendy performed confidence while the world inspected every change. She made audiences laugh. But behind the camera were health battles, addiction history, family pain, and a system that rarely gives aging black women grace when their image starts to crack. Wendy Williams is still alive, and her story should be told with care. Her legacy is not only scandal or illness. It is the rise of a woman who changed daytime television by being loud, flawed, funny, and completely impossible to ignore. The tragedy is that the same spotlight she mastered eventually became one she could no longer control. Lil' Kim, 51, age now. Lil' Kim did not enter hip-hop quietly. She arrived like a shockwave. Bold, glamorous, explicit, fearless, and impossible to ignore. She changed what a female rapper could look like, sound like, and demand from the industry. As a member of Junior Mafia and later as a solo star, Kim turned fashion, sexuality, street confidence, and luxury into a new blueprint for women in rap. She was not just performing, she was rewriting the rules in real time. But being that visible came with a brutal cost. Lil' Kim's face, body, skin tone, relationships, and image have been discussed for decades as if they belonged to the public. In a culture shaped by colorism, misogyny, beauty standards, and constant comparison, her appearance became a battlefield. Fans praised her confidence, then criticized the changes. Media outlets celebrated her style, then turned around and mocked her face. For a woman who helped create an entire lane, the judgment was relentless. The transcript presents Lil' Kim as one of the clearest examples of a star whose cosmetic choices became wrapped in pain, insecurity, and public regret. Some of its claims, including exact numbers of procedures, specific medical complications, and private emotional admissions, should be treated carefully unless supported by direct sources. What can be said safely is that Kim's changing appearance has fueled years of public conversation, and she has also spoken in the past about painful experiences that affected how she saw herself. That is what makes her story deeper than gossip. Lil' Kim was not simply chasing beauty. She was navigating an industry that often punishes black women for aging, changing, gaining weight, losing weight, being too sexual, not being sexual enough, being too dark, too bold, too loud, too real. Under that kind of pressure, the mirror can become a cruel place. Still, Lil' Kim's legacy cannot be reduced to surgery debates or cruel before and after comparisons. She remains one of hip-hop's most influential women, a fashion risk-taker, a lyrical force, and a cultural architect. The tragedy is not that her image changed. The tragedy is how many people forgot the woman behind it, the artist who kicked down doors that others walked through later. LaToya Jackson, 70, age now. LaToya Jackson grew up inside one of the most famous families in entertainment history. Being a Jackson meant talent was expected, perfection was demanded, and privacy was almost impossible. While Michael became the king of pop and Janet became a global superstar, LaToya built her own career as a singer, television personality, author, and public figure. But her life was also shaped by a constant shadow. The pressure of being watched, compared, controlled, and judged. From the outside, the Jackson name looked like magic. Millions of records, bright stages, famous faces, a family that seemed born for show business. But behind that image were stories of control, insecurity, fear, and intense public scrutiny. LaToya's appearance, like the appearances of several members of her family, became a subject of endless commentary. Her face, nose, makeup, hair, and body were often discussed with a cruelty that ignored the human being behind the celebrity image. The transcript presents LaToya as someone whose cosmetic procedures brought emotional pain, insecurity, and long-term public judgment. That angle should be handled carefully. Some of the transcript's more specific claims, including medical complications, collapsed features, lifelong medication, or direct confessions about regret, should not be written as fact without strong public sources. A safer version is to say that LaToya has long lived under beauty pressure, family pressure, and the intense gaze that followed the Jacksons everywhere. Her story is powerful because it shows how cosmetic surgery conversations are rarely just about vanity. For stars raised in the spotlight, appearance becomes part of survival. Every photo is judged. Every change is compared. Every flaw becomes a headline. And when the world keeps telling a woman she is not enough as she is, the desire to change can begin to feel less like choice and more like escape. LaToya Jackson's legacy should not be reduced to speculation about her face. She is part of a family that changed music history, but she is also a survivor of her own complicated public journey. Her story belongs in this countdown not as a punchline, but as a warning. Fame can make beauty feel like freedom, even when it quietly becomes another kind of cage.
Vivica A. Fox, 61. Age. Now. Vivica A. Fox came into the 1990s with the kind of presence Hollywood could not ignore. She was glamorous, sharp, confident, and memorable in a way that made every scene feel brighter when she entered it. From Independence Day to Set It Off, Soul Food, Kill Bill, and countless television appearances, Vivica became one of the most recognizable black actresses of her generation. She carried beauty, toughness, humor, and vulnerability in the same frame. But Hollywood has never been gentle with women who age in public. For black actresses, the pressure can be even colder. One day, the industry celebrates your face. The next, it studies every line, every angle, every sign that time has passed. Vivica's appearance has often been discussed by fans and media, especially as conversations around cosmetic work, fillers, Botox, and beauty maintenance became louder in celebrity culture. The transcript presents Vivica as someone whose attempts to stay young damaged her career and left her with regret. That claim should be treated carefully. It is not responsible to say cosmetic surgery cost her career without clear public evidence. A safer and more truthful way to frame her story is through the pressure that aging actresses face, the fear of being replaced, the cruelty of online comparison, and the impossible demand to look youthful while still appearing natural. That is where Vivica's story fits the topic. She represents a generation of black women in entertainment who were expected to remain flawless while the industry around them changed. The same public that once praised her beauty also became quick to judge any visible change. And that kind of scrutiny can turn the mirror into a battlefield. Still, Vivica A. Fox is not a tragedy. She is a survivor in an industry that discards women too easily. Her legacy is bigger than appearance debates. She gave audiences strong characters, unforgettable style, and decades of work that proved she could adapt, endure, and remain relevant. The real warning in her story is not simply about cosmetic choices. It is about what fame does to women when the world demands that they never grow older.
Nana Leakes, 58. Age now. Nana Leakes became famous because she was impossible to shrink. Loud, funny, glamorous, emotional, and completely unfiltered. She turned The Real Housewives of Atlanta into more than reality television. She became a pop culture force. With one look, one line, or one walk into a room, Nene could control the entire scene. She was not just a cast member, she was the moment. But the bigger the personality, the harsher the public gaze. Nene's body, face, nose, weight, clothes, and attitude were constantly judged by fans, blogs, and television audiences. She entered fame as a proud, curvy black woman with a bold Southern image. But reality TV is built on close-ups, confessionals, criticism, and comparison. Every change becomes content. Every insecurity becomes a storyline. Every photo becomes evidence for strangers to debate.
The transcript presents Nini as someone who changed parts of her appearance because of beauty pressure and public criticism. That part connects to public discussion because Nini has openly talked about some cosmetic procedures in the past. But the more extreme claims in the transcript, severe infections, long hospital stays, or accusations about erasing her black features, should be handled carefully unless supported by direct and reliable sources. A responsible remake should focus on image pressure, public backlash, and the emotional cost of being judged. What makes Nini's story powerful is that she built her brand on confidence. She made people laugh because she seemed fearless. Yet, even the loudest woman in the room can still be wounded by constant comments about how she looks. Cosmetic surgery, in stories like hers, is rarely just about vanity. Sometimes it grows from a deeper fear that fame will disappear the moment the public decides your natural face is no longer enough. Nene Leakes remains one of the most influential reality television personalities of her era. Her legacy is not defined by speculation about surgery. It is defined by charisma, timing, survival, and the way she helped make Black reality TV impossible to ignore. Her story belongs here because it shows the darker side of beauty pressure. Even confidence can crack when the world keeps staring.
Stella Obasanjo, die, age 59 in 2005. Stella Obasanjo was more than Nigeria's first lady. She was a public figure, a mother, a wife, and a woman who carried national expectation on her shoulders. As the wife of President Olusegun Obasanjo, she lived under a spotlight far different from Hollywood, but just as unforgiving. Every appearance mattered. Every photo was judged. Every public moment came with pressure to look graceful, composed, and strong. In 2005, Stella traveled to Spain for cosmetic surgery, shortly before what would have been her 60th birthday. What was supposed to be a private procedure became an international tragedy. Reports from the case stated that she underwent liposuction at a clinic in Marbella. During the operation, a serious medical error occurred. Her colon and liver were reportedly injured, leading to severe complications after she left the clinic. The transcript presents her death as one of the clearest warnings about cosmetic surgery, medical tourism, and the dangerous gap between beauty promises and surgical reality. This part is strongly connected to the title because Stella Obasanjo's death was publicly linked to a cosmetic procedure and later court findings. She died on October 23, 2005, at age 59, after developing complications that included sepsis and organ failure. Her passing shocked Nigeria and turned a private beauty decision into a national moment of grief, anger, and uncomfortable debate. What makes Stella's story especially haunting is the silence around why powerful women feel pressured to keep proving their beauty, even after achieving status, respect, and influence. She was not an actress chasing a role or a singer preparing for a video shoot. She was a first lady, yet even there, image still carried weight. That is the cruel reach of beauty culture. It follows women into palaces, parliaments, clinics, and hospital rooms. Stella Obasanjo's legacy should not be reduced to the surgery that ended her life. She is remembered for her public role, her charity work, and the grief her death left behind. But her story remains a chilling reminder. When beauty becomes a burden, even the most powerful women can be placed in danger by the promise of looking just a little more perfect.
Tonto Dike, 41 age now. Tonto Dike built her name in Nollywood with fire, glamour, and a presence that made people watch even before she spoke. She was bold, emotional, stylish, controversial, and never easy to ignore. As an actress, singer, and public figure, she became one of Nigeria's most talked about stars. The kind of woman whose life was constantly examined by fans, critics, blogs, and gossip pages. Fame gave her visibility, but it also turned her body into public property. After motherhood and public relationship struggles, Tonto faced the kind of body criticism many women know too well, only louder. The internet judged her shape, her beauty, her confidence, and her choices. In an entertainment culture where women are expected to look flawless after pain, childbirth, heartbreak, and age, cosmetic surgery can begin to feel like a way to take control. Tonto has publicly spoken about undergoing body enhancement, and her story fits this topic because it shows how beauty pressure can follow even the strongest women into the operating room. The transcript presents her journey as one filled with extreme complications, regret, and emotional confession. Some of those details should be treated carefully unless supported by direct public sources. A safer version is to focus on what her story represents: the pressure to rebuild a body after public shame, the vulnerability behind cosmetic transformation, and the way fame can make personal choices feel like public trials. What makes Tonto's story powerful is that she did not simply disappear behind the rumors. She kept speaking. She remained visible. She turned her experiences into part of a larger conversation about self-worth, motherhood, reinvention, and the cost of trying to meet impossible beauty standards. Whether praised or criticized, Tonto became a mirror for women who have been told that natural beauty is never enough. Tonto Dike's legacy is not just scandal or surgery. It is survival under public fire. Her story belongs in this countdown because it shows that cosmetic transformation is never only skin deep. Sometimes it begins with pain no camera captures and ends with a woman fighting to define herself before the world defines her first. Countess Vaughn, 47. Age now. Countess Vaughn grew up in front of America. Long before she became known as Kim Parker on Moesha and the Parkers, she was a young performer with a big voice, bright timing, and a face audiences instantly remembered. She brought humor, warmth, and personality to black television during an era when sitcoms helped define culture. For many viewers, Countess felt familiar, funny, expressive, talented, and real. But growing up in entertainment can leave deep marks. The public may laugh with you on screen, but off-screen it often judges every pound, every hairstyle, every outfit, every change. Countess faced body criticism in an industry that rarely gives women space to age, gain weight, have children, or simply exist without commentary. After motherhood and years of scrutiny, the pressure to change her body became part of a larger battle with confidence and visibility. The transcript presents Countess as suffering severe cosmetic surgery consequences after procedures connected to body image. That section should be handled carefully, especially where it becomes graphic or medically specific. What can be said safely is that Countess has been open about beauty treatments and personal struggles, and she has spoken publicly about health and image-related challenges. Her story connects to this topic because it reflects the emotional trap many performers face. The desire to feel camera-ready while carrying wounds created by the same industry that once celebrated them. What makes Countess's journey heartbreaking is that she was never just a body to be judged. She was a gifted performer whose comedic timing helped make black sitcom history. Yet, like so many women in Hollywood, her physical appearance sometimes became louder in public conversation than her talent. That is the dark side of fame. It can turn a beloved face into a target, then sell insecurity back as a solution. Countess Vaughn is still here, and that matters. Her story is not one of defeat. It is a reminder that behind every before and after photo is a human being trying to survive shame, expectation, and pain. Her legacy belongs not to scars or gossip, but to the joy she gave audiences, and the strength it takes to keep standing after the laughter fades. Behind every transformation in this countdown was a deeper wound the cameras rarely captured: fear of aging, public judgment, industry pressure, and impossible beauty standards pushed extraordinary black icons into silence. Some hid pain behind makeup, smiles, interviews,
and stage lights, while the world kept demanding perfection. But their stories should never be reduced to procedures, scars, rumors, or regret. These were artists, mothers, performers, survivors, and cultural figures who gave something real to entertainment, music, television, and black culture. Even when beauty standards turned cruel, their talent and impact remained bigger than the mirror. So which story hit you the hardest? And do you think Hollywood's beauty pressure has become even more dangerous today? Drop your thoughts below, like this video, subscribe to Black Hollywood Uncut, and hit the notification bell for more unvarnished stories.